Hey, we are live. 2/22/2025. That's Auto Hoax or GTFO, Chief Crow, and Flat Earthworms. So we are live now on YouTube. Facebook blocked me again. We're on Twitch, and a few different audio streams. And we're also on something called Kick. I haven't heard of Kick yet, and that's probably because no school shooters organized on Kick or telegraphed it on Kick before they went off. That's how I hear about these new platforms, like Telegram, what's that? Discord, what's that? And this is all concerted, obviously. They use every one of these fake shootings to advance their overall agenda. Total information control. And it's not so much about censorship these days. It's about obliterating reality by flooding us with so much information without context that can't even get the proper context because our frame of reference excludes very crucial features of the worldview shaking mechanism. The worldview shaping mechanism introduces into our worldview hyperstitions. That's what a psyop is, whether it's CGI or just bad acting. If it's a lie and it creates into our shared reality the perception that this thing is real, it's technically a hyperstition. It's reinforced by the system itself. Unlike superstitions, which you're free to dismiss and ignore, these hyperstitions are reinforced by the echo chamber of really just government-controlled media. And I say government with a capital G. There's only one government. There's this illusion of little governments everywhere, and we're all against each other. Some of us not. Some of us. But the whole point of it is, it's the perpetual war Orwell wrote of. There's only one government, and we can prove it here. And this has been like a mainstay of conspiracy theory, is that there's going to be a one world order. They're going to take over. It's like, no, by all indications, they, whoever it is, already have. Not resisting it. And if you're part of the resistance, you're actually part of the controlled opposition, because there is no resistance movement that isn't controlled by the pro side. The anti is all controlled. You got to be anti-anti, as well as anti-pro. I mean, you cannot take sides in this thing. All right, we're joined by Waco Soto, the Frugal Snowbird, O'Reilly You Don't Say, Smarty Pants, Plain Decoded, Matt X, Roxy, P. Triple said, should I play this episode while Ubering? Yeah, I mean, I don't see us specifically talking about flat Earth. I mean, it's such a strange proposition in 2025. What's your starting point? I can only see the Earth as flat before it is, because that's all you have right now. The final experiment from the perspective of the mainstream has debunked it. So what is the argument now? Is it, I just don't trust NASA? Because that's almost not good enough at this point. So if you're going to assert a model, you really need to, I think, bring something to the table. I'm only asserting here a rejection of the establishment model and shape agnosticism. And at this point, I'm shape ambivalent, because that's always been beside the point. The individuals who went and did the final experiment, all they did is they burned a straw man. And nobody believed the straw man model that they destroyed. And nobody really questions the fact that they destroyed this particular model. The flat Earth movement has been organized around the idea that they had the right model. So it's an alternative model. And this is where truthers are at. They think, oh, we have the alternative media, that we have this other model of reality as it's portrayed in the media, and ours is better. And it's like, no, these are both premature models. They need more information. You don't have a complete understanding of the world if all you rely upon is mainstream or alternative media, because that doesn't include the crucial aspect of media fakery. And none of the people debating the Earth, Mick Toon, Fight the Earth, or Wits It, Spits It, none of them talk about media fakery in these debates. It's like off the table. They'll talk about it elsewhere, but they never bring it in. And it's a huge component here. It matters. It's like people underestimate the significance of psyops, whether it's a shooting, a terror attack. Any kind of a mass media psyop necessarily involves the integrated, actions of you have local and national entities. This is like basically government. It has to be. You can't have a fake school shooting that involves law enforcement, hospitals, DHS, without it being a bigger operation, even if it only manifests as some kid shoots somebody and there's agendas attached to it. And with the space fakery, any special effect dismisses or debunks outer space as presented. It doesn't suddenly get realer or treat it as real because their special effects are incrementally improving. The space station's still an embarrassment. That's probably why they want to bring it down. Elon Musk is chomping at the bit to yank that thing down, and the ISS astronauts are saying, no, we still need it. It's got commercial use, but yeah, Musk is prepared to pull it down. And the reason why they want to pull it down is because the special effects are so terrible. I'm convinced of it. But no, no serious person can say the Earth is flat like this. This is my model. It's like, well, what's at the edge? That is a valid question. What is beyond this? And with the globe question, you can pretty much ask now, well, what's behind the space fakery? If you reject space, you can't say that you have a complete model, and that's why I don't. Until I know what's behind the fakery, I can't presume that we have the big picture. And even if it does turn out to be a ball, the circumference they say, at the velocities they say, etc., it doesn't mean it is what they presented us with, because that was a terrible looking composite image. I think they're hiding land. I think it's greed. I think we've been put into a false model. There's a one world system, and maybe it's a continent where it's all run from. I mean, this is just a guess. Like Atlantis. Maybe Atlantis didn't sink. It just went, quote, underground. Kind of went into... I mean, that's kind of a reoccurring theme, actually. I've seen this in a number of movies. For example, The Hunger Games or Westworld. The idea of the Truman Show. Or even The Village. The idea that the masses are in a restricted zone. We're quarantined. And they don't fly the flying saucers over us. They keep us in the dark ages compared to where they are. And that's because we are, I don't know, unruly, unfit. I mean, that's the rationale for mind control. If you look at the writings of Polybius and these other observers who have just commented on the fact that the masses are fickle and lawless, and they need to be terrorized by the fear of gods. And I would argue today that the nuke is a god. And I don't believe in it. I'm rejecting a lot of these state-created god constructs. I don't fear God. I don't fear nukes. And I think that these are constructs like superstitions, hyperstitions, designed to keep us in line. And so there's nothing new about it. All right, let's see. Kevin says, could we see a space disaster with Starliner? What's interesting right now, one of the preeminent metascriptors, Christopher Nolan, is working on The Odyssey. And Matt Damon's going to be in it. I don't know if he's going to be Odysseus. I think he could pull it off, considering his role in The Martian, isolation and all this stuff. But Odysseus and The Odyssey, he's stranded on an island, and then he heads back and he has to confront Poseidon and all the trials, tribulations. And we talked about The Odyssey before we knew Christopher Nolan was working on it, because the two astronauts, Butch and Sunny, who went up to the space station, went up in a capsule called Calypso. And Calypso is the name of the nymph that holds Odysseus somewhat a willing hostage for 7 years. And the whole idea was he was stranded, and then he was stranded out there in the middle of the ocean, which is like space, lost in space. So I thought, okay, well, Space Odyssey, they're stranded. Maybe the next phase of this is where they have to confront the Cyclops, Poseidon, some kind of disaster. So it does seem to be, and it's also Boeing. Boeing is all over this. And if you watch Fly Me to the Moon, and Fly Me to the Moon is about moon fakery. So I got issues with the audio, apparently. Hate to be that guy, but you're cutting out. Okay, that's fine. Let me see. You know what? I should probably just pre-record for the time being until I can fix the glitches. I was thinking we were going to be gremlin free, but that's all good. And also what I'm going to do is we're going to be working on South Pole. So I'm going to see if I can fix the audio stream. Maybe while working on South Pole, I'll work on that, and then we'll come back